And how do you say your name again?
Dawei, like you could think of it maybe
Dawei.
like the Tao way.
Mm, the Dao way. That's good.
Dawei. Yeah. The full name is Dawei Gocha. It's actually a possessive term of Dawa, which means the moon. So it means the moon has something when it turns from Dawa into it's Tibetan, from Dawa to Dawei. And Dawei Gocha means kind of the moon's armor, the moon's protection, where the moon
Mm,
represents some wisdom.
that's good. I like that a lot. Well, Dao way, thank you for joining me today.
Yes, my friend. Hello, Gary.
Hello. So, yeah, getting this thing started, would you be able to give us a little bit about your background? And then, yeah, we can work from there.
Sure. I don't usually see it as important to talk about my background, but I think it could be, inspiring or help others who are on the path. Although it's pretty unique. I was born in Germany and then lived in Spain for a while, and then came to the United States when I was like 10 and couldn't speak English, dressed like a weirdo. So I got bullied a lot, and it gave me kind of a rude awakening to life at a young age. And so I went through this crazy like, teenage years and everything, by the time I was 13, I was like raging out because of the bullying. And my sister and I had suffered some abuse and things like that at our young age, like 10 and 13. And I was only 10 years old, right? So, anyway, I got a lot of anger that was put in me, So, by the time I was a teenager, I started just getting into like gang stuff and gunfights, stupid stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got locked up. I started getting locked up a lot, but my mom was Buddhist. My mom was a Vajrayana Buddhist. So I had this strange contrast, right, between the Dharma. I learned my first mantras when I was a teenager too,
Mm,
like Guru Pama Sambhava, 7 line mantra, and all this stuff. I learned when I was really young, and I got my first empowerments and teachings when I was a teenager from Holiness Penor Rinpoche, and hung out. I lived with monks after I got out of jail when I was 18. So lots of exposure, but I can't say that I was like this Buddha, like growing up around the Dharma. It wasn't like that. Like I was really experiencing a lot of hell, but still being introduced to the Dharma at the same time. So my mom's been a lifelong Vajrayana practitioner. So Dzogchen has always been kind of around, and so has the secret mantra approach and Vajrayana, Mahayana, and basically Buddha Dharma in general, right? And I didn't really get into it that much when I was younger. I would challenge it a lot, but then I started to go on retreats. And so the full retreats doing Nundro and Tsalung, which is Tibetan Yantra Yoga. It's very intense pranayama, like dealing with winds and channels. And so, yeah, doing lots of yoga and then Kirim and Zokrim, which are visualization practices, like deity yidam practices and things like that, having archetypes as the deities. And then eventually getting introduced after Kordo Rushin, which is Dzogchen preliminaries. I finally got introduced to Dzogchen through several teachers, Holiness Penor Rinpoche, Kenshin Gyatso, Tsewan Gyatso, Tokugawa, Gyalpo, Migyur Dorje Rinpoche, um, Gyatso Rinpoche, many teachers. I even got lucky enough to get a Avalokiteshvara Mahamudra empowerment and teaching from His Holiness Dalai Lama. So in my younger days, I traveled a lot with a lot of Rinpoches and High Lamas and things like that. And then I got totally disenchanted when one of them tried to hook up with me. And I was like bald head, fully ordained monk. Um, and I had been looking up to this dude my whole life as like a bodhisattva lama, right? And I didn't know that they were like had some stuff going on, and behind the curtains. And so that broke my heart. I was all in. I was all into this thing. I even threw away my Bell and Dorje, my books. I got rid of all kinds of stuff and just got totally disenchanted. And I still had our group though. We have this group that meets twice a day. We've been going like that since 2013. And so I still had the awareness practice. It was like everything got, unidealized basically. Like, this sucks. I
Oh,
hate Buddhism. But I still had the awareness practice. Like, I still was introduced to the nature of my mind. And so and I'll just share with you so we can meet and speak on this level. But this awareness right here between us right now, like if we look each other in the eyes and we just sit here, you see, there's this presence, right?
mm.
Yeah, you're smiling. That's great. Because this is like a metacognition. This is the basis. If this was all a dream or all a simulation, this would be the only thing that's real, right? All the energy, all the thoughts we're having, all the emotions has to be within some kind of volumetric space like basis. It's very, very powerful. So I was introduced to that and it wouldn't go away. So all my anger, all my hurt was like a fire of karma conditioning, right? That was burning now within this knowingness, within this broader scope of mind. My issue at the time was I didn't have a sangha for reinforcement, or I didn't have constant access to teachers. Tibetan teachers are notoriously evasive and sort of private and things like that. So I really went through this on my own for quite a while, right? And I still had the group. And then out of the group in the past 2 years, since I got the blessing to teach Dzogchen Mahamudra from Lama Karma Dorje here, um, the group has just manifested this amazing like practice that we do where we just introduce somebody to awareness. We say, this is your whole mind, right? Like you and I just did. And then once you see that, you just start to warm up to it. You just start to get used to it, because a lot of people have seen it, but it's nascent or it's abstract. So they don't know what they saw. It could be in the background, and sensationalism is much more prominent, right? We eat a piece of pizza. It's like loud as far as our sensations, our consciousness, but this is sort of quiet knowingness, the basis for your eating pizza and stuff like that. So it's very, very powerful. It's called Buddha nature, right? It's Bhavana, also known as Rangshin in Tibetan. And once you're introduced to this, every thought has this as the basis. It's there through everything you could ever experience. It's been there even in your mama's womb. It was there. So it's very, very powerful. And you can start to come out of your conditioned congestion, right? The pre-programming, things that have been constructed, anything that's repetitious, thoughts, emotions, habits, those are conditioned, those are programmed. We know because it's repetitious. And so anything like that can, what they call rangsha rangdro, it can settle in its own place. So this is true doing nothing. Okay, you probably heard about effortlessness a lot. I know you
Mm-hmm.
get into spirituality and stuff, but this is true. Now you can truly do nothing. Now that you're not feeding that fire anymore, you can actually let it go out. That fire of conditioning can actually burn out within awareness. If you hadn't explicitly recognized awareness, then you're still like in the fire, fueling it, conditioning it, more fires, right?
Mm.
So that's my background combined. I guess it led into what I'm doing now too. Kind of my bio and how it's going down now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Seems like an interesting journey, to say the least.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? Let me take a second. All right, let's start off like this. How would you explain what Dzogchen is, what it guides people toward, to maybe somebody that has no idea? They never heard of it before. They never heard of the Buddha Dharma.
Mhm.
What is Dzogchen exactly?
Yeah, Dzogchen basically hinges on the fact that you're introduced to a metacognition, a part of your mind that's always been here, but you hadn't noticed it explicitly yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's all about there. In fact, the entire Buddha Dharma leads up to that recognition. You take vows so you can be introduced to awareness. You do mantras. You do hours and days and months of of object meditation just so you can be introduced to this awareness. And traditionally, they make you do hundreds of thousands of mantras first. But I take it serious what the teachers and the teachings say. You can introduce this to people now. Just like I just showed it to you. You saw it. You smiled. You acknowledged it. It's that easy.
Yeah.
We're living in a different
Yeah.
time now where people are very smart. They're very fast. So that's it. Just a part of your mind that you hadn't seen before.
Mm. So that's the practice. It's just like a constant reorientation with that ultimate awareness and just continually tapping back into that until ultimately that's what pervades always.
Oh, you're quick, dude. You are quick. We just have published a manual. It's totally free and everything. I'm not trying to promote, but that's exactly what it says right there. And you can extract that out of the teachings, but it hasn't been synthesized. Like the way you just put it out there, you see it, you familiarize with it until that's it. Yeah.
All right, so we just laid it out right there. It sounds just like too good to be true. Now, why do we do these just intensive practices? Why did you decide to follow the monastic path and people take pilgrimages to India and things of that nature? Like, is there obstacles in the way in ourselves, fires that you have to put out, as you said? Like, why does it seem so difficult yet so simple at the same time? You know what I'm getting at
Oh
here?
yeah. This is a good channel. I'm happy to be talking to you. You're quick. Yeah, these
Thanks,
are
man. I'm
po-
happy to have you.
potent inquiries, really on point, man. Yeah, the Nyingma actually. The reason why I say that, there's 7th century yogini, female practitioner. One of her 4 faults of awareness is what you just said. It's too good to be true.
Mm,
Too simple. People don't accept it. It's exactly that, my friend. And now they make, like we did, pointing out that would be almost blasphemy in some circles. The way I just gave it to you like that right off the bat.
mm,
This has become political. This has become powerful if you're an awareness holder. Tradition, in India, Tibet, possibly Far East, China, Japan, even with their realizations, it has become like you get a political power from that. But we're kind of over that, right? We have a lot of social justice that's come to fruition in our cultures and things like that. So the hierarchical and the authoritative positions aren't really necessary for us and these modern people, right? For modern people, and in that way we can share this openly. But you're right, it's too good to be true. It's so simple. It's this very awareness, this mind that you're hearing me with right now. The very mind that's been searching is the enlightened mind, the liberated mind. It's just like a dream. You can dream of anything. You can dream of hell, and you will think you're in hell. You'll be kicking your leg like a dog, thinking you're in hell, but it's never not been pure cognition. The whole thing has always been pure mind.
yeah.
Yeah. So here you're getting introduced, and we use in our live sessions, we use short sessions repeated many times, and that's based off Toku Organ and many prominent yogis. So sit for 10 minutes like this with your eyes open, doing nothing, letting things settle in their own place. That is the technique. Any desires, ignorance, anger, angst of various assortments like anxiety and things, panic, you can sit here and let that energy just settle. There's nothing to resolve, there's nothing to do about it, there's nothing to figure out analytically. That's the secret. It's true effortlessness. But people promote effortlessness out there recklessly, don't they? They say, oh, you don't have to do anything. Well, you have to get here before you can not do anything, truly not do anything.
Mm,
Uh,
interesting. Yeah. So once we touch base with this effortlessness, this lucidity, how would you say the dream changes? Right? Is there like a transmutation in how we dream the dream?
Another great question. Really.
Thanks.
Well, we have Trekcho and Togyal. Togyal is an ancient yogic light practice. So, and I'm going to talk about this openly, and those who may be concerned, who might run into your video or something, who are more fundamental. Um, this is a Togyal. It's traditionally been very, very secret. But to me, you can go look it up online right now, or you can just pay money and go on a retreat. So as long as you can buy this, I'm going to give it to you for free. So basically, if you have a candle or a light or something like that, and you squint your eyes a little bit, there will be light rays. You'll start to see light rays. And those are the same like on a phone. You know how sometimes you'll see all these light rays? So you'll be in a
Mm-hmm.
comfortable posture, resting in a kind of relaxed way, and then squint your eyes a little bit, and the ray will come off of the light source. Are you able to do
I
that
see it.
now?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Already? That's
I think
great.
so.
That's great. That's another introduction. So it goes a little bit further. That's just introduction, but you start to see within the light rays these little dancing spheres, and so
Oh.
those are considered the fabric of our reality, like the pixels of the volume. From those pixels, and it's very similar to these quantum physics theories that the Higgs boson field, for example, acts as a prism with this quantum noise that when it gets vibrated a certain way, fundamental particles start arising from empty space. Well, it's living, it's got quantum noise, but you can start to vibrate a certain way and then things will start to manifest. That's right in line with Dzogchen. I know I'm cherry picking a little bit, and I don't know anything about quantum mechanics. It's just a theory that I read about, but it seems very, very close. And so you have to consider this fact. Your question is very potent. Uh, I always mention that even scientifically, our eyes can only see in two dimensions. So there's a part of your mind that's rendering every little thing right now, these scissors, the book, the phone, the cup, everything without me even trying is being rendered in 3D so that I can sit here like a video game character and then walk around in this 3D environment that my mind's rendering. So it's just like a dream. And for some reason in psychotherapy and places, we don't acknowledge the multidimensionality of our mind. You can go to sleep, create an environment like a forest, then create a person who sees the forest, which is none other than your mind. You're seeing this forest, and then you're actually having more inception because you're thinking and feeling about the forest that your mind is creating. So
Mm.
we know that multidimensionality is happening. We know that because when we go to sleep, it happens. But why don't we ever consider that it could be right now happening the same way? So in Dzogchen, you actually get introduced to the lucid aspect of your mind. It's called the subtle mind that's propping up this reality right now. And through the Tokyo introduction of light rays and bindus, now your cartoon starts to soften out. It's like a controlled acid trip. It's
Mm.
not going to just fall apart on you when you don't have shamatha stability, right? When you don't have stability and awareness. You need this to be together. You need it to be a cartoon so you can walk to your car, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd be swimming in tie-dye rainbows and stuff on your way to the car, right? So having this reality and slowly stabilizing in its luminosity is the key to freedom in one lifetime. That's beginning to
Mm.
expose the luminosity in one lifetime.
That's good. Stabilizing the luminosity.
Stabilizing in awareness so that because all the elements are considered light, it's actually light that's being reified by the
Mm.
mind. And so for that reification to soften, we got to be safe. You can't just have the ground start exposing itself as luminosity while you're
Yeah.
walking on it.
Mm. That's funny. I had that thought yesterday just pop into my mind that we're all just slow moving light. Everything is just slow moving light.
Oh,
So it's a fascinating point that you bring up.
yeah.
It is the truth. So once we touch base with the luminosity, how would you say our life changes? I think that was kind of the original question, but is there like an
Mm.
archetype of the enlightened mind, we could say? Is there like the bodhisattva ideal, maybe? Like, is there something that we can all relate on? I know we all have our own path, right? We all have our own karma and dharma here. But is there something that we all touch upon that brings us to some kind of commonality in this awareness?
Well, we all have this part of our mind. You and I are having multiple conversations right now. We're having a conversation on the surface, but also within this more subtle mind. And so, it's just my opinion. I feel like we are blossoming into this, even though the world endorses apocalyptic thinking. They want people to think the world's going to end and all this stuff, and that it's burning and everything. But in my opinion, we're actually blossoming. And a lot of this stuff that we're seeing is just the ripening of our karma coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a little bit of a different view. I think we're all, everything that's happening to you, everything that you hear, experience, it's all basically putting you back into presence. You're going to keep banging your head up against the wall until you learn about presence. So we're all getting a great teaching right now.
Mm.
Awareness holders, awareness practitioners just expedite it. They ensure
Mm.
their freedom and their sovereignty. It's really about mind sovereignty that we all deserve, because they're spending trillions and trillions of dollars to get into your mind, and they're programming algorithms to get into your mind. It's been that way since before Edward Bernays and Sigmund Freud. Just this invasive advertising where they're
Mm-hmm.
getting into parts of people's minds that people don't know about. So it's like a cosmic violation. I
Ooh.
think in 1,000 years we'll look back, oh my God, they did that, right?
Yeah.
Or even 500
If they're
years.
not still doing it.
Well, I think they will come to find out that it's detrimental, is incredibly harmful to their own children, to our own children, to our people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so reclaiming your sovereignty of your mind. A lot of people are under programming, cultural programming. They don't even know it. It's like a hypnosis. So I think the biggest thing for us as a movement of spiritual practitioners, contemplatives, you, other YouTube channels that are part of this, Dzogchen, Zen, however, anybody who's awakening out of programming. That's what we need to do. I had the worst programming you could imagine. I was raging out. I was hurting. I was hating my parents. I was hating the world, everything. I would have died if that programming kept going, right?
Mm.
I was already on hard drugs and stuff like that. Like, I'm lucky to even be here, honestly. And so it was only because of thoughts. It's that easy, everybody. It's just the thoughts that grab us and they cause us to end our lives. They cause us to keep going back to drugs and alcohol because we can't get rid of this thought and we can't be comfortable in the presence. Like we're really bored, we're really hyper and stuff. But even in cognitive science, like Dr. Herbert Berry, for example, they have a 90% success rate with panic attacks, just letting be. For 10
Mm.
minutes, you let your panic just be here. That's what we don't do. We don't stop, do we? But if you just stop for a second, let your nervous system settle, everything settle back, it'll go away within 10 minutes. Whereas normally it would have lasted an hour or longer. So this letting be, coming back into presence, this is the true reality. It's not in the future. It's not in the past. Pure presence is here. Yeah.
Mm.
So reclaiming our
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. So when we reclaim our mind, essentially we stop creating destructive habits and essentially suffering. We get out of samsara, you could say.
Yeah.
And yeah, is that the essence of it? That's the big difference, is we just stop doing this to ourselves.
Well, I think that's a big part of it. Yeah, the people and the animals are safer, less people getting abused, less road rage and wars, and the
Mm.
ritual of war. We really have a ritual going on of war around here,
Mm.
and so I think these pride combat will end. But to get more specific, an enlightened person will still have emotions. Will still use the bathroom. Things like that. When you look at them from a conventional lens, you will see that that's what's happening. But they are not. There's a psychic weight, a somatic weight that you can feel when you're contracted into a mood, when you're thinking a lot, you're obsessed about something. You can feel that somatically, viscerally, and so
Mm.
that's a great wisdom of discernment there within awareness, that when you're going into a mood, when you're going into a panic or something like that. And so as soon as you see it, there's a little fork in the road, and you can release that into awareness. And so awareness holders, they don't really speculate that I've never heard my teachers say they're enlightened, because, but anyway, you can start to measure your freedom though. I'm not contracting into conditioning. I'm not contracting into programming, and I'm less susceptible to sensual triggers. And you can test this in all kinds of ways, like an attractive person. You can look how much weight is going in, how much investment subscription is going in when that person walks by versus a pile of poop on the ground. How much weight does that have? You know? And
Yeah.
you can really measure these things. It's incredible.
Mm. Yeah. So from that statement, I got equanimity. There is an equanimous mind that comes about. So if somebody really hot does walk by you, it's the same as the pile of poop,
Yeah.
right?
And you can let yourself be enticed or not. You have the true free will
Mm.
then. But you have no free will if you're
Uh,
constantly under pre-programming, right? A predisposition,
mm-hmm.
axiomatic kind of living.
Yeah, that's the big difference, right? It's how we respond. So it's not necessarily like we get swept away by this attractive person or whatever attractive stimuli that comes about.
Mm-hmm.
We have the choice to partake or not, and that's the big difference. So we're not controlled.
Yeah. And that means on a subtle level, somebody shows you some color scheme, somebody uses some tone of voice with you, or does their show up in a certain way to get your attention. Like where everybody's doing this clickbaiting thing right now where they use
Yeah.
enticing titles
Yeah.
and thumbnails. And it's like we don't have to sell out like that. As spiritual
Mm-hmm.
people or contemplatives, we don't need to do that stuff.
I know, right? Yeah. The thing is, it does work, and
It works how though,
it
right?
works on our emotions. I don't know. What
Well,
are you saying?
I've never, in the past 2 years that we've started our YouTube channel, we've never used enticing thumbnails to get into somebody's mind. Remember, it's a little invasive even. You're trying to
Mm-hmm.
trick somebody into your stuff.
Yeah.
It's not a good foundation. We've never used them. We've never asked for donations. We've never advertised, nothing. Yet we got 30, 40 people per day, per session. And our YouTube channel is just growing steadily. I don't even know how on its own.
Yeah.
We've and now I've just now started doing interviews, right? I've been asked for interviews and didn't accept them because I didn't interview what. But now we have something to talk about, right?
Mm.
And so I think that we've never used enticing titles or thumbnails or any type of advertising. I've never painted my face to try to entice people into the Dharma. Instead, I let people find it naturally. And we have this very diverse group from ages to cultures to countries. I mean, these people are so amazing and activated and awake and so kind to each other. It only happened because we never sold out.
Mm. Never sold your soul. Yeah.
Exactly. We never sold our souls.
Like attracts like in that way. If you are genuine in that regard, you will attract genuine friends, essentially, genuine followers, genuine people that just want to be with you. So, yeah, that's very huge. And I applaud you in that way to stay pure because there's a lot of dirtiness on the internet that you described, and
Yeah.
that only attracts more dirtiness. So, I think it's all about quality and not quantity, right? When you're really into the Dharma, it's not about getting the clicks and getting the views and getting people to think you're cool. It's really about just building the sangha, right? Would you say that, like building a community around this whole thing?
Yeah. I mean, we've never even had that much intention to grow it.
Yeah.
I think the main intention was to get the word out that there's a very
Mm.
simple truth. Everybody knows about it. Somewhere has been introduced to it, right? Dzogchen just means your own awareness. So
Mm.
to continue to promote this and activate people and get them, I basically feel like it can be almost like a war. All these people are trying to
Yep.
captivate my sister and brother's minds. Like my
Yeah.
children, my parents, my friends are constantly under attack. So it's time for us to come back,
Mm.
And Malcolm X said, for example, I cite Malcolm X because he was a huge leader of a huge movement. He said the greatest mistake of the movement was that we tried to move a sleeping people. First, the people need to wake up. So I think this is the greatest form of activism too, just waking up out of the
Yeah.
program. I'm preaching a little bit. I drank a little coffee today. I normally never drink coffee.
Okay, good. It's beautiful. I feel the same way. It's like a warrior spirit in some way. And I do feel it is a war. It's a war on our mind. It's like another crusade. And yeah, it's like I see it just as well as you see it. So I feel as though um, I have to fight the battles. There is a sense of there's a call of duty to put this out there in a pure way as much as I can. So yeah,
That's awesome.
100%. Yeah,
Right
and I
on,
thank
man.
you for helping me fight the battle.
Of
This is kind of how I
course.
do it. And yeah, where am I going off of this? Let me take a second. Oh, the times that we're in that allow us to do this, to me, are miraculous, right? The fact that we have Dzogchen, Buddha Dharma, the Yoga Sutras literally at our fingertips, it's wild, right? Like what we're
Yeah.
doing right now is truly a miracle. So
Man.
I don't know. I just want to throw that out there and say the fact that we can actually do this, establish these ideally pure communities with each other and hang out and talk about this stuff. There is a sense of urgency. Do you sense that? Like a sense of urgency to be able to do this and wage the war?
Well, I think you're right. Like 100 years ago, we would have been getting killed for having this conversation, and in
Yep.
some countries, even still now,
Mm-hmm.
you could get serious persecution for trying to free your own mind. And ever since Paul in the first century, with all the way up to Augustine of Hippo, they've essentially institutionalized religion for kind of social engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, um, every time it gets introspective, every time it gets esoteric, every time the secrets that empower the person and the truth inside the individual, it gets persecuted. It's been persecuted even in the Dharma, where they're shutting down ancient viharas um, 2,000 years ago,
Yeah.
because people were practicing Tantra. And
Mm-hmm.
then Dzogchen itself has been persecuted quite a bit, actually. And then you had the Muslim invasions in the 600s, which started to wipe out, all the contemplative stuff in India. You even had Greco-Buddhism in 400 BC, okay? Like the Greeks
Mm.
were onto this stuff, and that got wiped out by this institutionalized Christianity. So it feels like it's almost extraterrestrial. It's like they're always like one step ahead of the contemplatives, trying to make sure that truth, peace, harmony doesn't reach the surface.
Yeah.
But I think with this awareness practice, even if there's aliens involved, we're going to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we already have one. That's the thing. And this is the last ditch effort of the powers that be to keep it under wraps.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. And this, as you said, this is a war that's been going on since, I don't know, the beginning of time.
Yeah, a lot of people have gotten killed over this,
Yes. Yep.
tortured.
Shout out Jesus.
Money put me on.
Yeah. Um, wow. Okay. Yeah, I feel it. I feel this warrior spirit right now, like we're really,
It's awesome, man.
really doing it, man. And
I knew you were one of those, but I didn't know that your inquiries would be so on point.
thanks.
Very good. By the way, you did ask about something earlier on that might be important to people
Mm-hmm.
listening, about like, why do we do all this, right? Why do we do
Mm.
all the vows and everything like that? And it's very simple. Like if you're stealing, lying, killing, gossiping, harsh speech, all that too much, your mind will be so crowded that when I come to you and I say, hey, it's just this awareness, you won't even be able to stop. You'll be so much in your stuff that you won't even be able to, like, you for some reason could stop, look me in the eyes, stop your mind for a second, and actually come into this purely present mind, right? So I don't know
Yeah.
if you've been meditating, if you've been doing mantras, but I guarantee something you've been doing, or else you wouldn't
Oh,
have been
yeah.
able to see that. Yeah, you wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have been. So everybody, that's why the whole Dharma exists. It's all to recognize this one awareness.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Really that simple.
It is. Yeah. And you said something too before we recorded where most people's is it their vocabulary or most people's
Oh yeah, 20 to 40,000 words. Yeah, and the English language is only about a million words, and then the average person knows about 20 to 40, according to statistics that you'll see at various universities. 20 to 40,000 words is not very much, and so my main point about that is that you don't want to become conceptually confined. These are dimensions of cognition that we get locked into, I'm going to think I know what the world is made out of, and I think this is what it's all about, and da, da, da. And so now you're locked in.
Mm-hmm.
You have blinders on, in fact. So these are various cognitive dimensions, like emotional, something triggers you when you're scrolling online. Boom, you're in emotional contraction. That's another dimension. So the idea here is that awareness is the basis for all dimensions, even for the three times. So past, present, and future are within presence.
Mm.
It's the container for every experience, every sight, every sound. There has never not been this awareness here. And so that's really the main thing, is that we don't want to confine into conceptual reality. We don't want to confine into words or emotions. We can still have them. Obviously, I'm talking to you right now using concepts, but it's about, do I have that weight, that somatic weight into it? Like if you were to tell me right now, I don't believe any of the Dzogchen stuff you're saying, like how much would that affect me, right? Am I identified with that, with these concepts and ideas? That's the
Yeah.
main thing.
Yeah. And that's the curse. That's the spell that we're under collectively, is we're all living in this reality of 20 to 40,000 words. That's so shallow.
Well, I never put it like that, but yeah, it's the truth, actually. And can you believe it that it's only thoughts that are ending people's lives, keeping people on drugs, keeping people politically warring and things like that, but also over sports teams. People get
Yep.
killed over opposing sports teams. These are all just thoughts, coarse linguistic narratives,
Mm-hmm.
conditioned constructs. Can you believe that the line is so simple between us and freedom?
Mm.
It's just thoughts. Thoughts were driving me crazy in my life. That's why I said the awareness practice, and I mentioned my past a little. It saved me.
Yep. And that's why I feel the same way. I feel this obligation to put it out there and to do this stuff because
Yeah.
quite literally, I feel saved. It saved my life. So I think that's kind of the part of one that is saved, is to give back a little bit in their own way, because it's like done so much. It's, as I said, it's quite literally saved my life. I don't want to get too much into it, but doing these practices, having these conversations, reading the text, and just exposing myself to the Dharma, hallelujah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's truly
I
miraculous.
can
Again,
tell you're in there like that. Like you're on the front lines. Yep.
we're in the trenches, man. Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm. And that's the thing too. I think we can all relate upon that point, is the sense of service to the Dharma. It's almost like you imbue, or the Dharma imbues in you. Once you reach a certain point, a certain level of understanding, of insight, and you understand what it has done for you and what it can possibly do for others, it's the subtle obligation to serve the Dharma, right? It's not even like serve people. It is 100%, but it's like serving the Dharma, serving something that's greater than yourself, you
Oh yeah.
know? It's like, that's the purpose of life, that's the purpose of my life. And I also want to say, for anyone listening, it doesn't mean you have to be crazy like me and start a podcast. you know I understand this is rather a unique circumstance for a human being. You can serve the Dharma in just the goings on with your family, and with the people on the street, with just your interactions at work, all of the little things in our life. That's how you become more dharmic, you could say. um yeah, I just want to say that, like, you don't have to do anything grandiose, and that's the
Right
beauty of
on.
it.
Yep.
you know
And that's, I say that also in our sessions, that this isn't about wearing new clothes or adopting new practices. In fact, you may find yourself letting go of some of your old practices
hmm
because, there were a kind of pressure on you. And so just integrating the view into your life right now. That means if you have desires, if you have pride, jealousy, any of that stuff going on, keep being prideful, keep being jealous, but now do it within awareness.
yeah.
It's very powerful stuff. But yeah, this obligation, this warrior spirit, I think is very common. It makes me think of Shambhala and all the scriptures and teachings about that. And
The Bhagavad Gita,
yeah,
Valhalla. Yeah, I think that's like what we are at a very deep level, is soldiers in a way. We're like soldiers of the Dharma. I'm not saying just me and you. I'm saying like all of us. I think there's an aspect of us that is just a warrior. Like this is the realm of conflict where we're here to fight. Some people take that fighting into a physical sense and actually wage war. I think
Yep.
that's like a distorted view of it. I
Yep.
think the war is to be waged, as we said, on the mind and the psychic level and this like spiritual level. Maybe it's just because we're men. I don't know. We just got that deeply rooted in us, but I do believe that all of us have that essence of the fight. You know, there's just something so human about fighting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The wars, I think it's a provisional thing, though. You know, you're right. They're everywhere, aren't they? In the New Testament, Old Testament, Bhagavad Gita, lots of places we hear about this stuff. And it's this whole idea that light perseveres over darkness. And
Yeah,
but you also have these ideas like Shantideva, where converting your enemies to friends is the ultimate way to conquer them. And
that's the big difference in how we wage the war.
well, otherwise the war will be endless.
Yeah.
So, because you'll always be able to imagine enemies and things like that. But in Dzogchen particularly, it's very radical because your entire life, just like a dream, is a co-emergence of your mind. So it's co-emerging simultaneously with your cognition. So every person you're running into is a projection of your mind. It's a co-emergent of your mind. Now you're also a projection of their mind in a collective, right? So, but that being said, that everybody's kind of your teacher then, and every
Mm-hmm.
interaction becomes like a teaching, right? And every element actually is considered mind. So you don't even want to slam your phone around anymore and things like that because everything is kind of gentle then, and everything is mind.
Yeah.
And that way, and these enemies, Om Mani Padme Hum to Putin or whoever, people out there waging wars, they're an aspect of your mind. You can bring them within loving, compassionate awareness.
Yeah.
And so you're actually affecting Putin in this presence. And the more of us that become free within this presence, it's like a knot that unties within the collective. The more of us doing that, the harder it will be for them to carry on with their ignorance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the position that we take in the war, right? Is that we see the one mind and that we're all connected no matter what. So how can I, from this vantage point, harm you physically? That doesn't make any sense. That's not going to change anything. That's not going to fix anything. So there is no other way but to love thy neighbor, right? As tough as it
Yes.
may sound, that is the way that we transmutate this whole thing, and we ultimately escape the war that we created for ourselves. It's all through the one mind. It's all through that lens of the one mind, that there is no separation. That Putin, in some way, Putin and Trump and Xi Jinping, they are all a part of us.
Mhm.
And that's
Exactly.
tough. That's definitely a tough pill to swallow. But it's the truth, nevertheless.
Yeah. And imagine, like, I've always been about benefiting beings. I live my entire day for that reason. And imagine discovering this asymmetrical way where you're actually able to benefit all beings now just by liberating your own mind.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah, right. That is a good point. Is we save ourselves to save the world,
Exactly.
right?
And starting to see everybody as like you right now. Why would I have conflict? Just like you're saying, that would be like having conflict with you. It would be like having a conflict with my own mind.
Mm-hmm.
So if I let you be
Exactly.
clear like the sky without like judging and conceptualizing, analyzing who you are, what you are, letting you be revealed to me rather than me inferring who you are, right? Our
Mm.
reality can be like that. Instead of me inferring this is a bad situation right now, I can just let it be revealed. What is this really? And we can do that for the entirety while still living conventional lives. We don't need to get extreme or anything like that. We can still have our conventional lives, but just liberating out into that is very, very powerful. And being able to see your mother, your friends, your everything. There's a great equanimity in that now because you're not at odds with this stuff.
Mm. Yeah. So it's when we approach others, we approach the world altogether, it's rather than having this precognitive bias about it all, we let it reveal to us, right? It's like we're not coming with any kind of baggage to any situation or circumstance or any interaction that we have. Just
Yeah.
let it simply reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real time, co-emergent processing.
Yeah, real time. Exactly. And that changes everything. It truly does. One could say maybe that's love.
Yes, it's the true unconditioned love that's just
Yeah.
here, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I feel it.
Yeah. You
Mm.
are a yogi. Yeah. No, I didn't know I was going to be talking to a yogi today. I should have probably checked out your channel. I didn't have much time, but it looks wonderful. I love your little studio that you got going and everything. It's pretty cool.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming on here and having this conversation. I don't want to wrap it up yet, but
Probably
uh,
getting there, huh?
you're getting there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think, like, is there anything else that I want to cover? I feel like that's actually a really good note to wrap up at, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like also at the other side of this, there's so much more that I could dive into. So let me take a second here. I mean, do you have anything else that you want to say off the top of your mind right now?
Well, we went pretty deep. I mean, we got into topics that normally we wouldn't really have the space to get into. Your inquiries were very profound. They were on the level. So I'm happy that we got to talk about reality and mind,
Mm,
because we tend to take this point of view, this materialist point of view, and it gets a little bit injected into us at young ages, and we get hypnotized by it. But we don't really consider that this could all be mind, right? And modern science is even talking about that, and physics theories are theorizing that now, that this is mind, a proprietary mind-made reality. And so when if I'm sitting here studying these beads, and I'm studying it like it's something separate from me, I'm always going to have that fallacy, that
yeah.
predetermined fallacy of subject and object, right? But if I go in understanding that my mind could be influencing this, right, then to me it's a more honest study. It's more honest science that way, when we consider my mind could be involved highly in this creation, in this test, whatever, this experiment. So the fact that we started to get into mind being involved in reality, that's really great, because a lot of people think that life is just happening to them, and they take out their mind role, the role of the
Mm,
mind in that. And then they also attribute divinity externally constantly. So God is out there far away from me, and the deities are out there far away from me, and the truth is out there, enlightenment is out there,
mm-hmm.
everything is always out there. Right? But here we're starting to reclaim our sovereignty, reclaim our freedom. And then somebody says, "Oh, you're trying to be God." You know, those are the arguments you'll get sometimes with these
Mm-hmm.
types of practices that empower the individual, because there are 1,000-year-old arguments that tell you you cannot assume this power. You're not allowed to be this free, right? You're a sinner.
Mm-hmm.
You're a product of God. You are a subsidiary of divinity rather than the monarch.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm here to tell you all, just for the heck of it, I guess, that you are a sovereign monarch. You really are. Your mind is the sovereign monarch of this entire creation. But you can't be a good monarch until that congestion, the confusion burns out. That's the only
Mm,
issue. You know, we're these grand creators. Then somebody will say to you, "Well, you think you're a creator, God? You think you're God? Well, God wouldn't create this shit sandwich." Okay,
mm,
we are grand creators, but we're creating a little bit of a mess,
yeah.
and that's why we self harmonize the mind, self liberate the mind, and then the liberated, harmonized mind, that sukha is the Sanskrit word. Then you will see your own sovereignty and your own monarchy is there. There's heaven on earth, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Yeah, that's all I really, and I just praise you so much, my brother. I feel like you're really doing it. Part of the new generations of the Dharma coming up and pioneering this new landscape of the web, since we have nowhere else to go on the physical landscapes.
Yeah.
And just to you and all your people, I feel like, whoever follows you, you should know that this is a good guy. I feel a good energy from you, and an honest, sincere energy. And you're able to look me in my eyes. I'm able to look you in your eyes. And that right there shows that you are real. You're keeping it real. You're not hiding, right? So I know your subscribers are probably a lot like you and have a lot in common with you and things like that. So that's awesome, man. And just to see you guys be awesome is great.
Mm. Real recognize real.
I know, right? Just
Well,
keep
thank
it
you,
up,
Dawei.
bro. Just keep it going, and keep preserving this stuff for your mind.
I will. And let's definitely tap in again in the future. I think we could have another conversation.
Sounds good. I'll subscribe to your channel too, and keep up with you as much as I can.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll put all your stuff down in the description of the video for people to find you.
Sweet.
So, yeah. Dawei, thank you for joining me today. This was an amazing conversation. You're an amazing person. I bow to you.
I bow to you, my brother. Yes. I
Keep
wish
up
you
the
all the
awesome
luck.
work.
Yeah. Keep it up.
Right back at you. Peace and
See ya.
love, everybody.